Alright, hey there everybody. This is a very, very long overdue video about, not video games, but my vinyl collection that, I figured would actually be a good time to do right now, especially, where my computer is right now, because it's actually sitting right here, charging on the thing that has the rest of the vinyl that I haven't gotten to yet, basically. So I'm gonna kick off with this. This is actually gonna be fairly long video because this is where it's going to be like double stuff, like double LPs, which I keep all separate, mostly new, and basically the stuff I'm a lot more into because it has to get repressed, and then I have to go spend like $20 to $30 on it. But I'm going to start with this guy right here. This is so nice and so good, and I'm going to keep. As the releases come out, I'm going to keep buying all of them and adding them to it. This is a Blind Guardian box set. I'm not going to take all of the LPs out, even though they have great colors on them. But this is the first four right here. And I know all the lights behind me. I don't have that much light for a light source. But this is the first four Blind Guardian albums. Battalions of Fear, Follow the Blind. Yeah. Tales from the Twilight World, and Somewhere Far Beyond, and they've already announced the next four that they're going to put out, so they're going to keep going with Imaginations, Nightfall, and Night of the Opera is going to be in there, and I don't know if they're going to go to Twist and the Myth. I forget now. But that is a box set, and it has all the space for the future ones in there, so so good. They all have, in the box set version, has all different colored vinyl in it, so I've seen them at like Bull Moose, and I've been like, oh, look at that, and the colors that they're printed on are different for this box set. And now let's go to three, bam, 1, 2, 3 Ailstorm albums. This one being on gold and blue. I really don't want to take all of them out because it's going to take so much time. But this here is on Gold and Blue, the Sunset on the Golden Age. That one I bought when it came out, and this one I, of course, did as well. No Grave But the Sea, probably my favorite album that came out all of last year. And Captain Morgan's Revenge, 10th anniversary. All great albums, and I used to be a real piece of shit when it came to... Yeah, No Grave is on black vinyl. I used to be a real piece of shit about Ailstorm. I ended up seeing them like 3 times before I even liked them. And I was still, like, in high school or just fresh out of high school, and I was, like, a total piece of shit and really elitist about stuff, so I was like, this is stupid, this is all dumb and everything. And then one day I just, like, turned around and I was like, wait, this is really fun and cool and enjoyable. So, yeah, I love Ailstorm. They're one of my favorite bands now. Oh, this is gold. And are they both gold? Yeah, they're both gold. I'm thinking of something else that we'll probably get to that are on 2 different colored LPs that are gold and blue, or yellow and blue. That's Ailstorms. And the good thing here is I can put them back as I go. Yeah. Actually, yeah, this is a good one here. Because this one I originally got For All Kings, Anthrax For All Kings, their most recent album, which I'm not super huge into. They had a pack of playing cards that they sold with the download code in it, and I was still kind of interested in that. I had my iPod and everything. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool, I'll grab that. Never really listened to it that much, probably because I only had it on downloads. But there was a couple songs I really liked. Breathing Lightning is really good. But then I was in Bull Moose and I saw this, and I think it was marked down and everything. And it had this slipcover on it, and it's on like breast cancer awareness pink vinyl. So I swear I have not listened to this on vinyl either, but it is a cool release that I'm actually glad that I have. And I'm trying to get it back in. Yeah, slipcovers. I love slipcovers. That's cool. Have one Avantasia album. I hate that it's on picture disc, and I also hate that it's not even a gatefold one. But this is Metal Opera 2 on picture disc here. That's gotten some spins for me, and it's great, but damn picture disc. Whatever. Here, oh lordy, we have one of my favorite albums of all time now. This is Ayreon Universal Migrator Part 1, the Dream Sequencer. Excuse me, I have this on a double album of both parts that I bought at Bull Moose once for like $10. I'd heard of them before because of Avantasia, because they have a lot of similarities to Avantasia, and then Tobias and Aryan, or Anthony, or however he prefers to be, yeah, Aryan, did a collab on covering Alice Cooper's Elected. So that's when I became interested in this. And I was like, oh cool, that's 2 albums for $10. And the first one of this right here, which I ordered for like $33 on Amazon coming from Europe, which I never do, it breaks so many rules, is all about the way that the Dream Sequencer Universal Migrator machine can do like time travel, and you can go into the bodies, you can quantum leap into all bodies of people throughout history. So it's so spacey and so calming and so everything. And the second album, which travels through space more and is more like cosmic and stuff, is a lot more metal. This is more like the prog album. But this is one of my favorite albums, period, and it's a masterpiece. We have here one more Bathory album for you. This is, or actually 2 more Bathory albums. This is the Tragic Nordland 1 and 2 on vinyl here. If you don't know what the deal with Nordland is, Nordland was supposed to be a 4-part series of albums that Quorthon only made it through 2 of when he died in 2003. Either this album came out in 2003, the second one, or he died in 2003. Or it came out in 2003 and he died in 2004. But I do have them both on vinyl in a 2-pack, which is awesome. And those are really good. Lay back and listen to 2 whole Bathory albums that aren't super intense. I gotta talk about the man Billy Joel and the greatest hits. This is obviously like the best way to listen to Billy Joel, unless you want to put on The Stranger. And I'm pretty sure I have this on a big CD, like 3 CD set as well. So that's cool stuff. We have another Blind Guardian album here. This is Twist in the Myth, which I at one point believed was the weakest Blind Guardian album. And now it's clearly beyond the Red Mirror, and the 3 weakest albums are still the last 3, but this is still a beautiful record. It's on clear vinyl. And this has gotten a lot of spins for me, so even one of the weaker Blind Guardian albums will get insane amounts of play for me, especially when there are several songs on it that I absolutely adore, like Carry the Blessed Home. Oh yeah. 2 Candlemass albums here. I'll talk about this one first. This is the one that I thought I was talking about with the Ailstorm album that's on Blue and Gold. This is just a live Ashes to Ashes with Robert, right after Death Magic Doom came out. Yeah, because I have some songs from that on there. So this one's on blue vinyl here. They were in Sweden, they were from Sweden. And so the second LP, son of a bitch. And so the second one is on, bam, yellow. So that's good stuff. I love Robert just as much. I mean, I love Robert as a person a lot more than I like Messiah, and I like his voice just as much. So that gets some spins for me. But also, this is one of the first like big I have to have this album. I have to go out and get this album things that I did. Nightfall on, I believe this is on Gold. So one of my favorite albums. Period. Candlemass just like shot right up to the top of bands that I like when I heard Nightfall for the first time. There is a picture of Messiah, and give you an idea as to why I fucking hate this dude in real life, like as a person. He's got a shirt on that says, Messiah say Joey Tempest is a fucking homo, which he clearly had made for himself to wear. And Joey Tempest is the guy from Europe, and I fucking love Europe, just like I fucking love Candlemass. So, just get over yourself, and let me listen to Nightfall without having to think about how much of a fucking diva you are. That's what I've heard from people, is that he's a diva. But Nightfall, one of my favorite albums, the album that got me into Candlemass, and immediately made them one of my favorite bands, no question. It's got that big fucking... yeah. Gross sleeve on them. Ah, yes. And is there another one here? For cool. Yes, there is at least one more. Yeah. The two main Coheed albums that I like. This one I originally gotten Burning Star for. It's the fucking long ass title. I originally got this because this one here was too expensive, and this one we listened to at the store. Excuse me, fucking all the time. And I wanted it on vinyl, and I ended up picking up for Matt, my boss Matt, on a sale one day because I was still like, yeah, you probably want it more than I do, so I got this one. And eventually ended up just searching Discogs really hard for this one here, for In Keeping Secrets, which is the great one, my favorite one. And it was like, so this was $18 plus shipping, so I never thought I'd get it that cheap, so I got this one too. And those are the two main Coheed and Cambria albums that I like. And there's other stuff on other albums, but that's the main ones. Once all of the Death releases were out, I have, of course, didn't necessarily expect them to do this, but I got Control Denied, which is on some... oh, this is some really nice, yep. Really nice color vinyl here. Let's check it out. It's called Oxblood with Splatter. And it is some of that right there. That's very nice. Very nice. Oddly enough, though, I'm not as... I like... for what Control Denied is, conceptually, is like, you know, Chuck Schuldiner writing more progressive power metal stuff. I definitely don't like Control Denied as much as I like Death. That might have changed if they had been able to make more albums. Tragically. But as it stands right now, with the one Control Denied album, most of the Death albums are above it, as far as me ranking Chuck's work on a personal level. But it's still something I absolutely have to have. And speaking of Death, here is one of my, I keep saying one of my favorite albums. This is literally one of my top 10 favorite albums, so is Nightfall. This is on gold vinyl as well, and I think I've shown like 5 gold vinyls already, so I'm not going to bother taking this out. But, Sound of Perseverance, the one that I waited for, basically. Yeah, gold version limited to 500. My favorite, one of my favorite albums ever. The album that just shows how different Death got over time. And, you know, everything from Death is worth listening to. And from Scream Bloody Gore to Sound of Perseverance, it's just night and day. And so, yeah, to say that I've been saying one of my favorite albums, this is my favorite album of all time. It's Demons and Wizards, Touched by the Crimson King. The second album came out in 2005, and the great tragedy of my life, this album's not on Spotify. Neither Demons and Wizards albums is on Spotify, but this is my favorite album ever. And right as I was getting into vinyl, I played a show in Keene, and that was where I met Antoine, who for a short time had a physical store, a physical retail store for his place, Wicked Music. But he sold me this for like $20. I think I actually ended up putting the order in afterwards. But it's on picture disc, and that's not my favorite thing. But at least the picture disc is probably one of my favorite ones to look at. We got the eye on this side, and we have a lobstrosity on this side from the Dark Tower. Come on, light, yeah. And then, don't rip the sleeves. Oh, and if you don't know what Demons and Wizards is, it's Hansi Kirsch singing, and John Schaefer writing guitar parts. John Schaefer from Iced Earth. So at the time, Iced Earth was still my favorite band, and Blind Guardian was my second favorite band. We have the Eye again on side C, and the Tower right there on side D. Every song on this album is brilliant. Most of them are about the Dark Tower. Even if they're not, they're just incredible, varied. It's John Schaefer writing all the different types of guitar parts that he can write and not touching the fucking lyrics. So, Hansi Kirsch is writing the lyrics, so that'll give you an idea. And I hope to God they do something else soon. They did say that they were going to do something, maybe just a tour. A tour would be amazing. Anything from Demons and Wizards at this point would be just... I would just die. Death Clock, Metalocalypse, Death Album 3. I bought this a couple months ago because I watched Metalocalypse again, and this is the one that you can find, basically. If you're looking for them, the only one that's been printed recently enough and has enough copies out there. Dream Theater, thankfully my favorite Dream Theater album, or probably, you know, in the top 3 mix that are all about the same, in the same realm. This one in particular, when I was, during my 1 year at UML's music program, right when I had just decided that I was going to transfer the next semester, Jordan Rudess, the keyboardist from this, came and did a recital for us. And I, you know, the guy, basically like the head of my department, felt bad and everything, and so I felt kind of shitty about this nowadays because I was like, I didn't deserve any special treatment on that part, but he felt bad that I really wasn't enjoying myself in the music program, and so he gave me a backstage pass to go meet Jordan afterwards. And that day, actually, I knew that this was in the vinyl bin at Newbury Comics, so I could have brought a CD with me, but during my off time between classes and the recital that night, I went to Nashua to the Newbury Comics and bought this so that he could maybe sign it for me. He did right here. And this has gotten a couple spins for me. And one really, really crazy thing about it is that this is the only vinyl pressing of this album. And it has an error on it. So side C is what it's... I forget what the fucking songs are called. Ministry of Lost Souls. So Ministry of Lost Souls is the second track of 2 tracks on side C. And the side D is supposed to be In the Presence of Enemies Part 2, which is a really long song, you know, Dream Theater. And there's a misprint. Side D actually just prints Ministry of Lost Souls again. So there's no In the Presence of Enemies Part 2 on any vinyl printing because this is the only one. Very interesting, and I love Ministry of Lost Souls. It's a great track. So I don't really complain about it. It's just a very, very funny thing to me. These 5 all go together. This would be real cool. I bought these not that long ago. I don't know how this doesn't have a fucking box to go around them, but here we are. This is a 5-album set from Gravedigger. And one thing I will point out is that most of these albums are not, at least in their original versions, not on Spotify, so that's good. But it covers most of the mid to late 90s, starting with The Reaper. It goes to Heart of Darkness, Tunes of War, which is the big one for me. That is probably their best album overall. Then Knights of the Cross, and then probably another one of their best albums, Excalibur. So these came as in a big thing of shrink wrap over all of them, with a piece of paper that's probably in one of them somewhere that said Gravedigger Limited Edition 5-album set, but no box over them. Like, it's supposed to be a big set, but there's no box. Not a box set. So I had actually considered buying this on Amazon. It was like 80 bucks. And I was like, it's a good deal for them. But do I want 5 Gravedigger albums? And would I listen to all 5 of these Gravedigger albums? And then I checked again like 2 weeks later. It was in my suggestions and everything, and it had been marked down to like 50 bucks. And I still was kind of not sure I wanted to buy it, even though the albums would be 10 bucks a piece. But I happened to have literally $50 in Amazon rewards. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to pull the trigger on this. So I have got all 5 of these here just with my Amazon rewards. It was 50 bucks, basically, so. One more. We've talked about my originals, Halloween originals, and this is Walls of Jericho, which is not an original. It's reprinted on white. I think it's bright white vinyl, yeah. So yeah, this is back on black. On white vinyl. So that's a lie. And this is how Chris Jericho got his name. Oh, and of course, so this is 2 LPs. This includes the entire original album, and then the rest of, that's on side A and B. And then side C and D is the mini LP. So you technically have the mini LP with this too. Ooh, let's talk about a couple of albums from Iced Earth, if that's alright. So the one of these that I've had the longest is this one here, Crucible of Man, and now I'm really, really glad that I have this, because this is on not on Spotify. None of their 3 mid-2000s albums are on there. So Glorious Burden, Framing Armageddon, and this one here, Crucible of Man, are all not on Spotify, unfortunately. The one that really gets me about it is the Glorious Burden, because that has some great stuff on it. But I have this on vinyl here. This is it's the weird thing where they like made a 2-part concept album and then changed singers, went back to Matt Barlow in the middle of it. So this has Matt Barlow on it, singing some songs that I can't listen to on my everyday Spotify listenings. This is a 3 LP from Live in Ancient Korean. Basically the correct way to follow up a great live album in Alive in Athens, where you play 32 songs. Do another one where you play almost as many songs. I think almost as many songs. 6, 4, 16. Some of these aren't real tracks, though. So they're called 14, 19, 25, and 27. Almost as many songs as Alive in Athens. And then 2 more. These are from the recent reprintings that they did. Burnt Offerings, which has the original artwork on it from the Gustav Doré sketch, and Horror Show, which is probably one of the easiest albums of theirs to listen to nowadays, because it's not a bunch of weirdly veiled metaphor bullshit. Just about fucking monsters. Halloween is a day where we honor monsters. 2 more Iron Maiden albums here. These are from their reprints. Matter of Life and Death is one of my favorite Maiden albums at this point. Highly underrated. It's just basically them getting older and more pensive, and this is one of the ones that you can just put on and like chill out to. Doesn't have to be a bunch of 4-minute fast songs. It's a couple of 10-minute slow songs. And Rock and Rio, which I own for one reason and one reason only. I wanted the Klansman on vinyl, because the Klansman is a top 5 Maiden song for me. And this has Bruce doing it, as well as Sign of the Cross, which is one of the other Blaze Bayley songs that's really good and worth listening to. 2 Camelot albums on vinyl, and they go together real well, because this is both parts of the Epica story. Epica over here, and Black Halo, which I've had this one for a lot longer. This is definitely the much better album of the 2, but the fact that they fit together. I actually got this for like 12 bucks this past summer on Amazon, so if you're interested in that, check if it's still there. Uh, I don't listen to a ton of Lordy, but when I do listen to Lordy, I basically listen to this album. This is the Apocalypse. This is also on some really great colored vinyl because it looks like basically fucking vomit. It's like it got a yellow tinge to it, and it's all red and everything. It's gross. Super gross. Really good. Has all of the Lordy songs that I really like on it, so... Would You Love a Monster Man, not from the original album that song was on, but it's on, like, the bonus tracks. It's Nose in Hell, that's the one I was looking for. And, of course, Hard Rock Hallelujah. And then these are all good, too, so... Oh, yeah. An album that I wanted on vinyl for a long time, since I've been collecting vinyl, is Killing Is My Business. The only other reprint that they had done of this recently was on picture disc, and I was like, I don't want that, especially not for $35 fucking dollars. But this one is on a red vinyl, and this is the new remaster that they did of it that makes the album sound so much better than it ever has before. And I still paid like $30 for it, but it was worth it for this one and not to get it on picture disc. Just sounds so good. And we have, gonna keep saying it, one of my favorite albums here. It's crazy, like, you have favorite albums, you make a point to go find them on vinyl because you really like vinyl. Merciful Fate in the Shadows. If I haven't said it before, I will say it again. I will make the point that Merciful Fate in the 90s, and King Diamond for the most part in the 90s, I can't necessarily say King Diamond because you'd have to talk about Abigail and Them and Conspiracy, but Merciful Fate in the 90s is better than their 80s albums. Don't fight me on that. This one is gray, and the other one here is blue. And of their 90s albums, this is the, like, masterpiece. Oh no, they're both on gray. What am I thinking of that's blue? Blue and gray. I don't know. I don't know why I thought they were two different colors. And now, going back to some My Chemical Romance. This is the album that got me into My Chemical Romance when I was a little chode in middle school. Yeah, middle school. The Black Parade. The fourth side D on this is etched with the cover, so there's no real point in showing you, because you won't be able to see it that well anyway. From My Dying Bride, I don't know why they even bothered to keep printing these albums. It's so surprising to me that they did. But they have basically my favorite album from My Dying Bride, which is Light at the End of the World. I listen to this fairly regularly. And Sons of Darkness, Words of Light, which as an album I don't need to listen to all the time. But there is probably one of their best songs on it, which is, what's it called? My Wine in Silence. Great song. So, one really great song on a decent album, and my favorite album from them. I'll show this Nevermore album, just because I got this fairly cheap. I am waiting for a different Nevermore album to get repressed, and that is Dead Heart in a Dead World. I will buy that immediately as soon as it comes out. This one I saw getting marked down and had to, like, be convinced to buy it, even though it's still a really good album. It's just one of those ones where I was like, if I'm buying a Nevermore album, I'm not buying that one. Ooh, this is a good one. This is another one that is one of my favorite albums. I specifically, like, went and looked and tried to see if they had this anywhere on any vinyl, and they did. Heavenly Ecstasy by Pagan's Mind, which is the last full-length that these guys put out, like, 7 years ago, and I don't know where they went. They put out a live album, like, 3 years ago. But yeah, this is it's so good. I forget, it's on some type of orange, but I forget if it's a solid orange or a see-through orange. So this orange right there. It's a solid orange. Ooh. Yes, 2 albums here by Paul Bearer, who are just a band that are made for vinyl. There's 2 of their 3 albums. I don't have the middle one. But Sorrow and Extinction, actually, Sorrow and Extinction looks absolutely gorgeous. And then their most recent one, Heartless here. And I love Pallbearer and Opeth has done it before too. Making their albums. That's a see-through vinyl with a pink splotch in the middle, and I love it. Pallbearer does it. They did it with this. Opeth did it on some live album that they did. Making your album cover look like an old album cover. Opeth specifically looked like a old Rainbow album, which was also a live album. I own one Powerwolf album on vinyl. I should own the new one, or something like that. I have the box set, or at least one of their box sets, and then this one here on vinyl. It's the last album before this one, and Powerwolf is just great. You can get pretty much any of their albums and get an idea of what they're about and enjoy them. This one is really good. I'm really glad I got it for this sale price that's marked on here. Queensryche Empire. Everyone talks about Operation Mindcrime. I'd so much rather listen to Empire. It is easily my favorite Queensryche album. And I only really listened to up to this album for Queensryche anyway. And yeah, every song on that album is solid. Getting back into Rise Against, mostly via this album. They have several good albums that I listen to, and just like every song on them, but this is my favorite one here. Appeal to Reason. A band I listened to in middle school and then didn't really bother with for a long time, and now I'm back into them. This is the main one. Oh, Royal Thunder. It's been maybe a year now since, or less than a year, since my friend Nick texted me and told me to listen to these guys. There's Time Machine, which is on this album. I bought this one at their show. I bought this one on Amazon, which would have been not long after it actually came out. This is their album from last year, Wick. And these guys just have soul, and their singer has just the most amazing voice, which supposedly she doesn't even know how she sings that way without hurting herself. Just absolutely great stuff. But this is more rock and roll. It's one of the few non-metal albums that's in here. And it's brilliant. And now we've gotten to the Sabaton set. Now, I don't have every Sabaton album on vinyl, but I have 6 releases from them. And it's actually, yeah, everything from Art of War up to the most recent album, Last Stand, for studio albums, including Swedish Empire Live as well. So we have, this is on camo vinyl, so I'm actually going to take this out and show y'all. This is real nice. Yeah, that is a camo splattered vinyl. Good stuff. I think most of these have colors, actually. And actually, Swedish Empire probably also has the blue and yellow. The same as the Candlemass one. Last Stand, Heroes, Swedish Empire Live, Carolus Rex. This is the Swedish version. This is the one that I was able to get. I have no problems having the Swedish version on vinyl. Coat of Arms, and Art of War, which I believe I bought at one of their shows. Was the only one of the few times I bought a vinyl at a show. Royal Thunder was one of the other times. Yes. So, Sodom, Agent Orange. Sodom is a band with so many albums that are just so overwhelming and difficult to really get into. But of the German thrashers, I used to like them a lot better than Creator, but I got into Creator more recently. I really broke into them when I saw them with Sabaton. So Creator's definitely now at the top for those German guys. But these used to be the guys that I would go to for German thrash, and Agent Orange being the main album here. What color is this on, actually? Is it on black? Yeah, it's on black. Never mind. Sonata Arctica. I've been on a kick of them lately. This is one of the albums that is not on Spotify, along with their no, I forget the name of the album, but it was Winter Hearts Guild. This one, and also the original version of Silence isn't on there, which frustrates me. I'd much rather listen to the original version. Did I say Silence? Ecliptica. That's their first album. But yeah, Silence has some of their really, really good. It has a typo on here. I thought I remembered that. It says web allergy. It's web allergy. You might not have been able to read that because it's white and blurry. But, yeah. Just any Sonata Arctica on vinyl I would love to have. I wish I could have more. There's the three important albums from The Sword, a band that I have not listened to in a long time now, because they've kind of embraced that, like, ooh, the 70s means you smoke a lot of weed and you name your album, like, High Country and shit. I don't know. I'm just not into The Sword more recently. But their first three albums are brilliant. Fantasy, Space. And this is actually the best one of them, in my opinion. But all three of these albums are fantastic. I'm just not that interested in The Sword anymore on their more recent stuff. And it was Apocryphon. I listened to Apocryphon and I just didn't care for it that much. Oh, I put something back wrong. Yeah, Testament. So this is the one that I've had for a long time because I got this fairly early when I was getting into vinyl. There's the Legacy Back on Black reprint. I think it's some kind of red. Yeah, some kind of see-through red here. This is probably the one that a lot of people will pick for their favorite Testament album. I will say The New Order, which one of my favorite albums is. One of my favorite vinyl that I have is the original copy. Original copy of New Order that I have. But The Legacy is a great album as well. 2 from Typo Negative. I will basically buy anything I see on vinyl for Typo Negative. But October Rust, which is, say it with me, one of my favorite albums of all time. This is the album that made me break my $30 rule. I made a huge deal of buying this when I had the chance to. And this is more recently. I was in a store, I think it was Newbury Comics, and I was like, yes, another Typo Negative, anything, I'll buy it, even though it's just least worst stuff, which is in and of itself kind of a weird compilation. In my opinion, the superior of the two first Venom albums that people will tell you to listen to, there's Welcome to Hell and there's Black Metal. I like Black Metal better. This also has some great splatter on it for the vinyl. It's like a black and white and gray mixture. It's good stuff. Oh, and if you ever want to listen to some cheesy bullshit, this is a Record Store Day re-release of the wrestling album with Pile Driver. So both the wrestling albums, they're cheesy bubblegum bullshit for the most part, but there's some good stuff on there, including... so yeah, this is just the first one. It has Gene Okerlund doing Tutti Frutti, most of the Locker Room doing Land of a Thousand Dances, Real American, which was at the time not Hulk Hogan's theme. It was in fact Wyndham and Rotunda's theme, which I thought it was Strike Force's theme, but whatever. And then Strike Force is on Pile Driver with Girls and Cars. That's the first song on there. And my God, this is just so crazy. And of course Vince doing Stand Back is on this as well. Masterful releases, just so good and so worth having. This is the second Wargasm album that was released lately. It's ugly, as in ugly is to the bone. Not as awesome as their first one, not as groundbreaking as their first one, but Wargasm is great. Boston area stuff from back in the day. So you got plenty of good things to say about them. And the last one, I might as well bust these ones out. These are two Yes items here. This is Yes songs, which I've had for a long time. It's 3 LPs of live stuff. The first live album before Yes shows. And this is Tales from Topographic Oceans, which is not the Yes album that you will just throw on because you feel like listening to Yes, but an interesting album nonetheless. It's 4 tracks, 1 on each side. So to give you an idea as to where Yes was at this time. And with that, because we just did some Yes, we're done. That is the rest of the vinyl that I have not really talked about. I've bought a couple, in the past couple months and whatever, but yeah, that's the majority of my stuff. The long overdue third part of this talking about my vinyl collection thing that I did for no good reason other than that I have a bunch of vinyl. So thank you for listening to me talk about vinyl. And because I have no iPod anymore, which is I think I did the last videos when I had no iPod. Vinyl is my biggest commitment as far as my collection goes. So this is what I buy for music now. Thank you.